Hey everybody, it's Gabriel. We're back here with my main man, Micah. What's up, Micah?
Happy to be here.
We also have one of my other really good friends at Automation Anywhere, our head of the COE, the guy who helps make my life easier with automation, Mr. Mark Goodaire. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Are you amazed at how tall this guy is? He's a Zoom 5'4", but in real life, he's 6. He's a 6+.
Oh no, he's taller than me, and I'm 6'1", so
I'm impressed.
you can never the Zoom thing. It always throws you, right? Yeah. Also, the camera puts on 20 pounds for me in particular.
Yeah.
So really, I'm a solid 178.
Oh man, I'm a svelte 150.
Yeah. So
That was not kind to me either. No.
you look great. You look great.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
I've got a face made for radio. You look fantastic. Mark, as I mentioned, you lead the COE. You've been a tremendous partner for me and my team, for marketing, for various organizations within the company. What everybody I think wants to know is what we're talking about at Imagine is the art of the possible,
Right.
all of the things with generative AI and automation, intelligent automation. But the fact is, you're putting it to work now.
Right.
We talked about the new system of work. You're doing that. You're employing and creating the new system of work at Automation Anywhere, and I'm grateful for it. But talk to me a little bit about the core tenets, the basics of what we're doing, some of the exciting things that are evolving here.
Absolutely. No, this has been a huge change, first of all, even for us at Automation Anywhere. And as you guys know, it's been happening so fast, right? So even for our own center of excellence, it seems like every week there's something new, not just on our product side, but with everything that's been happening with generative AI. But I think what we're discovering is the opportunities are like all over the place. We already had a pretty healthy pipeline, and then with generative AI. So can I give you a couple examples of some of the things we're doing?
Yeah,
so we've got an automation we call Caption Cruncher, and it's helping us with video localization. So we've got all these awesome videos, some including Micah himself, right?
Yeah.
The problem is all the subtitles, all the captioning is typically in English. We'd like to go globalization. We'd like to make them available in different
We
languages.
want to make everything accessible to anyone across the world, right?
Absolutely.
So like when I spell favorite, you're gonna change the way that that's spelled to Canadian?
Obviously, there's going to be a unit because we invented that word. Yeah. So exactly. So we want to be able to do that, and we want to be able to do it at scale. So what if that interesting video on automation with generative AI, what if it was available in 7 or 8 languages, and the videos keep coming? So again, there's the scaling challenge. And we're doing exactly that using automation and generative AI. So behind the scenes, that's all generative AI, and we're actually doing that right now at scale.
That's
pretty,
awesome.
Pretty cool.
That's a really cool capability, and I
Yeah.
think that really starts to make a lot of the content we're creating much more accessible.
Yeah.
Without having to necessarily go through and do it all manually.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really cool.
And I think at the core of it is again, I had the pleasure of being able to help with that project, and while there's the tactical piece and it makes it much easier, but I think it gets to the core of our mission as a company and our values, creating accessibility
Yes.
for everybody.
Yeah, it's
Right?
a democratization of really high quality educational materials
Absolutely.
that are available for free, and you can consume them in your native language.
100%. And the whole thing is we always wanted to do that,
Yeah.
but how do you do it at scale, right? There were very real cost constraints and things like that. Not anymore. If tomorrow we get 100 more videos or 500 more videos, no problem. We can actually
Well, and
handle it.
speaking of, right, there's no shortage of marketing needs, my needs.
Right.
We're talking all the time.
Right.
But as you mentioned, your pipeline is expanding. You guys have created your operational model.
Yep.
How is that evolving? How is that changing? We've talked to a lot of different people as they go from start to accelerate to scale.
Yep.
It's true for you as well, right? You're in these
100%.
phases.
And I think the Center of Excellence itself has had to evolve. So we've had to evolve the way we work because of the introduction of generative AI. Because now we've got this whole other skill set that we really didn't think about a lot before, right? Like, do we need an AI person, right? So prompt engineering, what's that and who's going to do it? Right, so the use case you just mentioned, Gabe, somebody's actually got to prompt the model in the right way, make sure we're getting consistent results, and so we've actually had to evolve. We've actually got experts in our team that a year ago we didn't even know we needed that skill set, right? So we've had to evolve.
That's really interesting.
Which is, and you know what I like is it's exciting for them too. Right, so it's really, really important to me that we've got a motivated team that people actually want, like what they're doing and everything. Awesome for them. They also get to build their own skill set. So we get the business objectives, but we also get hopefully happier team members.
That's
We
great.
want that too.
Mark, I know that you were co-creator of the Pathfinder program, right? And so you're very dialed in on all of the concepts, the pillars, the
I'm a fan.
methodology. Yeah,
Yes.
you get it. One thing that we talked about quite a bit as we were creating this is the evolution of the maturity of the types of automations
Right.
that your program is creating.
Right.
And we've called that the solution pattern modeling framework. So I'm wondering if you could introduce that a little bit and talk
Absolutely.
about some of the types of automations and what that means for people who are
Sure.
creating automations right now that are scheduled tasks effectively.
Absolutely. So I think we're trying to always think about how to simplify things, how to make things more clear, how to make them as simple as possible. And so when we talk about these phrases like the art of the possible, I mean, that expression's all over the place these days. How do you actually make that happen? What does it mean to be actually doing something in the art of the possible? I think you need to know what's actually possible. So one way to put it is, we can automate pretty much anything. I mean, almost any process that you throw at us, we can automate it. We are automation anywhere, right? But how do you actually implement that in the platform? That's the question that the solution pattern modeling framework handles. So what we ask ourselves, this question: what are all the different ways that we can actually bring that to life? What are the different ways that we can bring an automation to life? And we catalog those, and those became solution patterns. And what that means, so one way I would look at that is, imagine going into a restaurant and I'm hungry, but there's no menu. What's going to be going on in your head? I'm hungry, I know what I want, but I don't know what's available. That's exactly what can happen with an automation, right? So when Gabe comes to me and says, I got this challenge, we want to be able to localize all these videos and everything, one of the first things I'm thinking is, what's possible in the platform? What's the right fit? What's the right pattern that we can implement to bring that to life? And to your point, Micah, no, it's not just it's going to run at 3 a.m. We cataloged them. We've got more than 20. It's not infinity, but we've got more than 20 patterns that we've actually defined. And again, the whole idea is just to simplify that whole decision around how are we actually going to implement the automation.
How do you solution pattern modeling framework?
Yeah.
Wow, it's a mouthful. It's like SPF 50 or
We're
something.
still working on the branding.
All we know is it works. Right?
Yeah.
It
It doesn't
works.
go through marketing.
Yeah. Guys, can we chat after this?
Exactly.
No cameras. Awesome. But as you mentioned, you've got 20 different patterns.
Yep.
Okay. But for the folks at home that want to maybe do this, like, give me the nitty gritty on where do those patterns live? Is it in a OneDrive? Is it in the platform? Like, how does that work?
And what question does the patterns answer? Right? I mean, what question are we answering by these patterns?
I love that. The key question to me that it's answering is how, right? So when we're looking at an automation, we can ask ourselves, like, what are we going to automate? What's the process going to be? We could ask ourselves, when are we going to do it, right? The how do we prioritize them? But how is it actually going to happen? How are we actually going to implement it? The solution pattern answers that question. So one of the things we also say is answering that one question answers a whole bunch of other questions. So if you think about what it takes to deliver an automation, there's lots of different stakeholders of it, right? There's the consumer of it. Like Gabe, for example, who's actually going to receive the value from it, right? There's the person that's going to create it. We've got some technical infrastructure that needs to be set up. We've got somebody manning the control room, right? If you tell them what the solution pattern is, it answers a bunch of questions each one of them have got about what it takes to implement that automation, right? So
I
it's
like
a very
that.
powerful question.
I think the other two questions I think of is, how is it going to be invoked?
Yes.
Right? Which is like basically saying, is it on a schedule? Is it by a trigger? Is it by a human reaching out to the automation? And then also, where's it going to execute?
Yes.
Because I think those are the two most important questions I'm thinking of as an automation leader. Do I have the bot runner capacity for this? Do I need a device pool? Do I need workload management?
Right.
Those are the two questions I'm thinking of every single time I'm trying to identify the solution pattern.
Is that like, I mean, that's like every time if someone says something, you're like, those two things, because you're like, otherwise it's going to break.
And I would add,
basically.
I agreed with you, and I'd add a third, which is the experience.
Yeah.
So the other thing that's happened with intelligent automation these days is automation has kind of risen from the shadows, to your point, Michael, always being something happened at 3 a.m. last night, and now I've got a spreadsheet. All of a sudden, users or business users are actually able to interact with the automation. So there's an experience component. If you're using an automation, you want a good experience. Is it responsive? How am I actually interacting with the automation? And that's another question, right?
Yeah.
Is it, for example, is it going to be embedded right in my business application?
Yeah.
That's a solution pattern, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's really important for exception handling
Yes.
and being able to deal with those kind of back and forth situations. Mark, I know that you've been running your automation program for quite a while now. Talk to me about one or two things that you're most proud of
Sure.
that your team has implemented this year.
Sure.
And the impact that those have had for Automation Anywhere employees.
Sure. The thing I'm most proud of is the team, the people, because I know I tend to move pretty fast. I'm not known for being a particularly apathetic, slow-moving guy. And even my head is spinning these days, right? So for the team, first of all, I'm proud of them for kind of rising to the challenge of generative AI. In terms of actual accomplishments for the business, we've got already 6 or 7 automations in production using automation and generative AI right now. So a lot of the customers that we're talking with at Imagine, they want to know, is this thing real? Does it actually work?
Yeah.
We got examples right now in production. I gave one. We've got an amazing example in customer support. Pankaj is going to be doing a session on that one. We just rolled one out last week that's helping the accounts payable team. Automatic responses to suppliers for different questions. So that stuff is all real. And so obviously I'm proud of the Center of Excellence and our different partners for actually bringing that to reality.
I think you bring up a great point. Ultimately, the technology is amazing. The announcements we've had at Imagine, amazing. The work you're doing, amazing. But it always comes back to the people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Those are the people making it happen.
And to all of you out there that are watching this, connect with Mark, connect with Micah.
I think it's really important that you learn about these solution patterns and understand how you can implement them, right? They really help to put language to the types of automations you're creating. And we've laid them out in a way that you can know which patterns are most appropriate for where your automation program is. We want them to be something that you mature into rather than just like, oh, I'm going to go straight to Copilot embedded with a back and forth with human in the loop, right? That can be kind of complex. So we want to start with some of the more straightforward solution
Sounds like you're talking about me, by the way. So I'm like, Mark, let's...
We want to start with those simple, more straightforward solution patterns and give automation programs something to mature into. What that means for them is they're able to take on more complex automation opportunities and they're able to deliver these new capabilities for their automation programs and for their organization. Now,
higher impact.
There's one last thing we got to do with Mark.
This is the hot seat. Here we go.
The Pathfinder program is based on space, right, and exploration. And so we have some space food for Mark to try.
Okay.
And I want to get his reaction to this.
It's like a hot wings challenge.
I've heard space food is legendary for how good it is.
So, yeah, no, this is, it's really nutritious.
I bet it is.
And I'm going to give this to you, and I want you to tell me, well, you're going to have to peel it off. This is a freeze-dried Starburst.
Okay.
So I want to get your reaction to how you feel about these. This is real. I'm sure the astronauts are consuming these right now as they're thinking about problems to automate.
It has the texture of a piece of styrofoam. That's a bad sign.
Oh yeah, yours is actually a styrofoam.
Exactly. It's like when I make pasta at home,
It's excellent.
Oh.
All right, Mark, you pass. You are Pathfinder certified.
Wow.
There you go.
I'm
You did
honored.
it.
I'm honored.
Hey, thanks everyone for watching. This was a fun video. It's always great to talk to Mark. It's always great to hang out and learn about what Automation Anywhere is doing as customer zero and implementing and leading the way in some of these areas. Thanks to Mark
Appreciate the support.
Yeah.
Appreciate all the hard work. Tell the team thank you as well.
Absolutely.
Keep up the great work.
Absolutely. And I highly recommend this space. I don't highly recommend it.
Space food.
No.
I noticed you didn't eat the rest of it.